Hey men, I'm Lisa and I'm going to say some pretty crazy stuff. Men have been being gaslit into apathy, idleness, and silence for a really long time. When we look at the television, we see men winning. We see men on top. We see men and they are the CEO of this corporation and they're dominating in this field and they're making more money. But that is not the average man's story. The average man is actually the true underdog of this reality. And it's time for a revolution. A revolution back to your primal core purpose. This is the Drone to Adept podcast. Welcome. I'm Lisa Everett, and you can think of me as a queen bee of this reality. I'll explain later. My mission with this podcast is to help men of marriageable age find their purpose, their wife, and deep fulfillment. More men than ever are feeling empty, lost, idle, depressed, and like they just can't get anything right. And that's actually by design. The oligarchy have orchestrated and perfectly executed a plan to chip away at the core of men from every possible angle, in every possible way. And it's worked. I'm awake, so I can see it. And I have a few skills to help get you onto your right path. In the oligarchy's plan, you are meant to give up on your purpose, to give up on women, and to give up on you. You are meant to stay in a dark room and keep your window curtains drawn. You are meant to say, fuck it, fuck everything. Because when perfectly capable, healthy men lay down in the hundreds of thousands, their plans can go off without a hitch. For example, the population reduction plan gets a big boost because less babies are being created, because less men are getting married. So they get to produce the babies for us sooner rather than later. You see, you are in a great play on a huge set, The Matrix. Real life is actually cooler than a sci-fi movie, if you're awake and if you want to play. You get to decide which character you want to play, whether you turn down the lead role, the character who rises and goes and gets everything that belongs to him when all the odds are stacked against him, or whether you are the character made aware of his mission, yet turns it down. There is no wrong choice. It's all about how you want to play. So first, let's level set. There are a few definitions that we have to get out of the way. I have to tell you about a great science fiction show called The Man Who Fell to Earth. It's a Showtime series. And we have to talk about bees. Let me read you the synopsis for The Man Who Fell to Earth. It's about an alien who crashes deep into the oil fields of New Mexico with a mission. He must find the brilliant scientist Justin Falls, the one woman on Earth who can help save his species. So on Anthea, the planet that the alien is from a very young age, you're either designated as a drone or an adept, Kurtzman explains. If you're a drone, you execute orders, and if you're an adept, you give them. So here's the bad news, and this isn't for everybody. If this resonates with you, hang out. If it doesn't resonate, turn it off. To continue, I have to read you the definition of a drone. A drone, according to the Webster's 1828 dictionary. Noun, the male of the honeybee. It is smaller than the queen bee, but larger than the working bee. The drones make no honey, but after living a few weeks, they are killed or driven from the hive. Hence, second definition, an idler, a sluggard, one who earns nothing by industry. 3. A humming or low sound or the instrument of humming. Drone, verb intransitive. To live in idleness as a droning king. To give a low, heavy, dull sound as the cymbal's droning sound. Now I must give the definition of an adept. One fully skilled or well-versed in any art. The adjective, well-skilled, completely versed or acquainted with. So what does that have to do with the man who fell from earth or you? Men of this reality, men of this matrix, you are considered the drone. The drones of the honeybee colony exist essentially to procreate with the queens. And there are many who would argue that men predominantly have one focus and one purpose in this reality, in this matrix, and that is procreation. The oligarchy have plotted and planned in such a brilliant way that men, you have been backed into a corner, overwhelmingly into the corner of apathy, idleness, and giving up. If you have not been yet accepted by or chosen by a queen bee, you are quite likely idle, living fully in your distractions, whether that is anime or video games or pornography, but not living in your purpose, not with your wife, and not fulfilled. This may be hard to hear, but you are essentially the slaves of this reality. And if you think about it, the women who are the adepts already, they are the ones who tell men whether or not they can procreate. Women will never have difficulty getting a man if she wants one, but men have to be chosen by a woman. So essentially, she's the one making the decisions. In this story, women are not your enemy. In fact, they are your greatest gift. The war of the sexes has been manufactured, created to cause more division, to serve multiple purposes. A significant portion of the men of this reality of a marriageable age are idling, doing almost nothing of value, and thinking that they're the problem. Well, I'm here to tell you, you aren't the problem. You've just been being gaslit this entire time. You've been herded and backed into a corner, now afraid to even approach a woman for fear of being seen as a creep, a pervert, or aggressive. It's been made almost impossible to get ahead in life, even if you've gone to college and have a good college degree, unless you have a hand up, or were already born into wealth. There aren't very many resources for men to discuss your problems. It's not culturally accepted to go to therapy, and men just don't tend to get together to discuss their problems, even for the purpose of up-leveling their lives. Our food is being poisoned, so men are being fed estrogen and toxins which decrease your testosterone to chemically make you impotent and less likely to actually go after what it is that you desire in life. You're getting all these messages that being a man is such a bad and horrible thing, and that being a man is just toxic in and of itself. And depending on your race, you're getting lots of different messages on top of that. If you are a Caucasian white man, then you learn that you are the rapists and pillagers of all of the globe, and therefore you should self-hate yourself. And if you are a black man, then you learn that you are just a lesser human being and a slave with no value. No matter how you look at it, men, you have been being gaslit. And you've been being told that you're the problem. When we look at the television, we see men winning. We see men on top. We see men and they are the CEO of this corporation and they're dominating in this field and they're making more money. But that is not the average man's story. That too is gaslighting. The average man is actually the true underdog of this reality. Not women who hold all of the cards and all of the power, unless we're talking physical strength. Men, you are the underdogs of this reality, and you've been being gaslit. And the time for that has come to an end. It is now time for men to awaken and to evolve. Going back actually to your primal core purpose. Going back to the show, there is this scene where a character called Newton says that humans will become the new drone race subservient to the Adepts. So just imagine, instead of this being something that is coming, know that it has already happened. And you men are the drones who now must take the journey to becoming the adept version of yourself. Let's talk about my modern definitions of drone and adept. When we're talking about a drone, we could even think of it as like a autonomous flying thing that is literally being controlled by someone else. And in this case, that someone else is the oligarchy, the messages, the cultural programming, your programming from your parents, from your school, all of that stuff that wants you to be quiet, that wants you to keep your head down, that wants you to be sad, depressed, and alone. Let's talk about my modern definition for adept. A man who knows who he is, who knows what he wants, and knows how this world / matrix works, and goes and gets what belongs to him. So you are going from the drone to the adept. The drone is single, aimless, and heavy with sadness. The adept has his purpose, his wife, not a wife, his wife, the one that is perfect for him beyond all imagination, and is deeply fulfilled to the core of his being. This man, adept, knows when to be soft, to hold his wife, and to be there for his children, but also knows how to protect, knows how to be hard, and stand up and fight, if need be, to protect what is precious and special to him. So the revolution of the drones is about becoming the one in charge of your life. No longer being at the effect of the oligarchy's control mechanisms. The drones are evolving into the kings who take their rightful place beside their queens. No longer leaving humanity's future in the hands of the oligarchy for weird and nefarious purposes. And you will know if this is for you because either you're gonna resonate so deeply with it, or you may be confused, or you may outright reject it. And if that's you, if this isn't for you, that's okay. And if this is for you, I want you to know that your wife is out there. And when you two come into union, you will be unstoppable and wreck all sorts of nefarious plans against humanity. And I also want to tell you that I don't have all the answers. I have really good questions. And I have a really strong sense of knowing what's right, and I'm really good at seeing when things aren't right. I am not perfect, and I'm going to make mistakes, and I'm going to be vulnerable with you guys, and I'm going to share my heart with you guys. And I want you to know this is just the start My aim is to open the door so that you can take your first step and begin making the journey from the drone who is just at the effect of others' wishes to Adept, who is the one in control of his life, making the decisions with the right information. Happy, joyful, blissful, married to his wife. This has been the Drone to Adept podcast. Ultimately, you decide what is true for you, whether this resonates, touches you deeply in your core or not. In the words of serial killer from Hackers, when I was a child, I spoke as a child, I understood as a child, and I thought as a child, but when I became a man, I put away childish things. I am inviting you to become a man, and in the words of Dade Murphy from Hackers, hack the planet. If you have found value in anything that I've shared during this podcast and you'd like to show your support, you can do so by going to buymeacoffee.com/drone2adept. There you can buy me a hot chocolate, as I don't drink coffee. I have all the energy I could ever need. It would make me feel so good to know that you guys found value in what I've created. So thank you. Also, on Buy Me a Coffee, you will find the episode notes. There's already a post with notes and images from episode 1.